James Harden is the softest player in NBA history. Point blank, period. James Harden has, as Kyle said, forced his way out of two situations in which he wanted in both. He was the star in Houston, and he wanted multiple players to come play with him. He had Dwight Howard in his prime. He had CP3. He had freaking Russell Westbrook. What can you complain about? There's a consistency in a lot of these problems, but that was just in Houston. Oh, also at the end of it, before he actually dipped and quit on the team, he ended up getting, granted, an older, more, bruised and a lot of mileage John Wall, who ended up playing great last season, and he ended up getting a Boogie Cousins that I thought, if kept on the roster with the right personnel and the right coach, would have ended up working out well, but it didn't. Boogie gets cut. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is James Harden has become a cancer no matter where he goes. James Harden forced his way to Brooklyn last season, quit on his team in Houston, and made it abundantly clear he had no interest in playing in Houston anymore because he did not get his way and they were going through a rebuilding phase, which obviously happened. But at the end of the day, the way he went about that was toxic. You get to Brooklyn, you're playing with a former teammate in Kevin Durant, obviously Kyrie Irving. The sad part is about this trio is they only played a total of 16 games together in the last season and a half. Kind of sucks. Between KD's injuries, Harden's injuries in the postseason, and obviously Kyrie's vaccination status with the NBA this year, there has been a lot of scrutiny and a lot of issues with this three actually having time on the court together. Now, the worst part about it is when you look at James Harden as an individual, we all know that he can give you triple doubles every night. We all know that he can drop 38 every given night. We all know that he's somebody that brings a presence to the court that you have to double or have to fear because he can go off at any given time. And of course, pick your poison when the three of them are on the court together. But again, you wanted to come to Brooklyn. You specifically requested to go and play with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. You knew the situation of having to share the ball with three people. Unfortunately, injuries happen and COVID happened. What the fuck do you want them to do about that? Now you're unhappy with your living situation in Brooklyn. Now you're unhappy with the fact that Kyrie's not playing because of his vaccination status. Now you're not happy because the team is losing. Well, you know what? I originally wanted to go to Philadelphia before I went to Brooklyn, so I'm just going to go about and leak something to the media to where I want to go to Philadelphia, but I don't want any backlash. What kind of soft shit is that? How do you publicly leak or somebody in your camp leak that you want to get up out of here, but you don't want to be backlashed? Do you know basketball? The Mecca, the greatest city in the world in New York. Now, whether or not it's Manhattan or Brooklyn or Queens, it makes no goddamn difference. You were in the state of New York. You represent the people of New York. Now, I don't know what fans are in Brooklyn, but the point of the matter is you were still playing for a professional team in New York City, and this is what you say? You really think you're not going to get backlash for being basically a coward? I'm trying to be professional here and not use a lot of curse words, but it's like, what other words can you use? You ran away from adversity when Houston was doing a rebuild. You ran away from adversity when Brooklyn started to lose. What happens if Philly starts to struggle? What happens if you and Joel Embiid don't get along? What happens if you and Doc River clash because of headstrong personalities? You really think it's much better in Philly? Are you serious? Philly lost in the second round last year. You lost in the second round last year. Like, what's the difference? It's the same thing. If anything, you just walked away from two NBA future Hall of Famers, and now all you have is Joel Embiid. No disrespect to him, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to carry Philadelphia to the promised land. Do you get better potentially as a team in Philly because you add James Harden? Maybe. Similar to the Brooklyn thing, on paper you get better at the guard position, someone to consistently facilitate. But once again, James Harden is the issue here. There's a reason why all of these players, after they leave playing with him or after he departs, get better. Chris Paul, popping the fuck off in Phoenix. Russell Westbrook's the only outlier here because, well, technically, Russell ended up going to Washington last year. So technically, he did pop off last year when he left Houston. And so on and so on and so forth. Dwight Howard won an NBA championship when he left Houston. Granted, a long time later afterwards, but still, it came to the point. When James Harden is not around, teams do better. James Harden's the focal point here, and I'm tired of all of these people saying it's better for James or I feel bad for James. No, you're the reason your team struggle. You're the reason you're a distraction in the locker room, and you're the reason why the media is consistently focalizing on your teams for negative reasons. Now you're bringing a drama into Philadelphia who just traded a drama away. So in essence, you're trading two divas to the opposite side. And one of them has been in the media for the last 3 seasons, arguably, for the wrong reason. Ben Simmons doesn't want to shoot a basketball. That is easily fixable if and when he decides to shoot. You just complain about everything that happens to you when you're the one that puts yourself in the situation that you're in. I got no remorse for James Harden. I never liked the way that he played. I never appreciated or respected how he was the person that always found a way to get to the free throw line. Thank God the rules changed. And now you've just added a whole different dynamic to your personality and your resume. In my eyes, James Harden is the softest player in NBA history, and it's not even close.